After Cotton was convicted of the rape, he was sent to prison for life plus 50 years. After 4 years in prison, he was able to get a new trial. Jennifer Thompson once again testified against him. This time, Ronald Cotton was given 2 life sentences. After serving 11 years in prison, DNA evidence finally demonstrated that Ronald Cotton did not commit the rape, was innocent, and had served over a decade in prison for a crime he did not commit. Link to learning. Watch this first video about Ronald Cotton, who was falsely convicted, and then watch this second video about the task of his accuser to learn more about the fallibility of memory. Ronald Cotton's story, unfortunately, is not unique. There are also people who were convicted and placed on death row who were later exonerated. The Innocence Project is a non-profit group that works to exonerate falsely convicted people, including those convicted by eyewitness testimony. To learn more, you can visit http://www.innocenceproject.org. Site Dig Deeper. Preserving eyewitness memory, the Elizabeth Smart case. Contrast the Cotton case with what happened in the Elizabeth Smart case. When Elizabeth was 14 years old and fast asleep in her bed at home, she was abducted at knife point. Her 9-year-old sister, Mary Catherine, was sleeping in the same bed and watched, terrified, as her beloved older sister was abducted. Mary Catherine was the sole eyewitness to this crime and was very fearful. In the following weeks, the Salt Lake City Police and the FBI proceeded with caution with Mary Catherine. They did not want to implant any false memories or mislead her in any way. They did not show her police lineups or push her to do a composite sketch of the abductor. They knew if they corrupted her memory, Elizabeth might never be found. For several months, there was little or no progress on the case. Then, about 4 months after the kidnapping, Mary Catherine first recalled that she had heard the abductor's voice prior to that night. He had worked exactly 1 day as a handyman at the family's home, and then she was able to name the person whose voice it was. The family contacted the press, and others recognized him. After a total of 9 months, the suspect was caught, and Elizabeth Smart was returned to her family. The misinformation effect.
Cognitive psychologist Elizabeth Loftus has conducted extensive research on memory. She has studied false memories, as well as recovered memories of childhood sexual abuse. Loftus also developed the misinformation effect paradigm,
which holds that after exposure to additional and possibly inaccurate information, a person may misremember the original event. According to Loftus, an eyewitness's memory of an event is very flexible due to the misinformation effect. To test this theory, Loftus and John Palmer, 1974, asked 45 U.S. college students to estimate the speed of cars using different forms of questions, figure 8 mime. The participants were shown films of car accidents and were asked to play the role of the eyewitness and describe what happened. They were asked, about how fast were the cars going when they smashed, collided, bumped, hit, contacted each other? The participants estimated the speed of the cars based on the verb used. Participants who heard the word smashed estimated that the cars were traveling at a much higher speed than participants who heard the word contacted. The implied information about speed based on the verb they heard had an effect on the participants' memory of the accident. In a follow-up 1 week later, participants were asked if they saw any broken glass. None was shown in the accident pictures. Participants who had been in the smashed group were more than twice as likely to indicate that they did remember seeing glass. Loftus and Palmer demonstrated that a leading question encouraged them to not only remember the cars were going faster, but to also falsely remember that they saw broken glass. Photograph A shows 2 cars that have crashed into each other. Part B is a bar graph titled Perceived Speed, based on questioner's verb, source, Loftus and Palmer, 1974. The x-axis is labeled questioner's verb, and the y-axis is labeled perceived speed, mph. 5 bars share data. Smashed was perceived at about 41 mph, collided at about 39 mph, bumped at about 37 hit at about 34 mph, and contacted at about 32 mph, figure 8.12. When people are asked leading questions about an event, their memory of the event may be altered. Credit A, Modification of Work by Rob Young. Controversies over repressed and recovered memories. Other researchers have described how whole events, not just words, can be falsely recalled, even when they did not happen. The idea that memories of traumatic events could be repressed has been a theme in the field of psychology, beginning with Sigmund Freud, and the controversy surrounding the idea continues today. Recall of false autobiographical memories is called false memory cinder,